Hey guys, don't mind the mess, I'm busy at work here, but I'm going to show you how I propagate Diffenbachia or any tropical plant that's growing on a cane like this. And you'll see when I get in here a bit closer, this is a really tall plant. It is up on a table. It's starting to flower. I'll deaden the flower there. I'm just going to cut that off anyway. You always cut off your most highest growing tip on a plant when you're propagating vegetative cuttings like this. And the other thing is that it's going to draw energy from the plant being a flower itself. So we're going to get rid of that right away. Let's see here. My hand is in a cast, so I gotta be careful what I'm doing here. There we go. Now, I'm just going to take the camera back first and show. Hopefully you can see this, if I can get this in focus. This is all different segments of the actual cane. So you can see all these sections, and they have nodes. Right now these are adventitious roots, most of these nodes. Some of them are actual growth points there. And basically each section will become an entire plant. So that's what we're going to do, is cut this off down towards the bottom around one of these. Oops. Now. So as you can see here, this is a pretty big plant. A lot of this growth up here is stretchy, flowery stuff. There was some new leaves coming from it, but it was just getting too tall. And so I'll just scan back over here. You can see it's still too tall, and these were shorter. I had to do the same thing here with the rubber plant. Hey kitty cat. Psst, psst, psst. Did new flooring in here, and we got the ceiling done now. It's the walls that are next, converting this into a grow room. But anyway, yeah, you can see the Dieffenbachia still way too tall. I'll probably take some cuttings off this giant stalk and let all the rest of these then come up beforehand, before they get light burned like this. This is what light burn looks like. I had already cut a piece of it off, and it's just going to stress the plants out and block the light from everything else. Let's get a better angle here. Not really. On pro mode, you can't zoom out. Whoa, tie constellation. Kitty cat, what's wrong? Okay, let's see what kind of setup we can do here. It's not going to be great. So, the Diffenbachia is here, giant cane. It's kind of the horticultural term used for this. And I'm going to use an even bigger knife. Pruners are not thick enough to get around this. I'll show you here. Pruners, not even close. So you're going to mess the stem up. You better get a really sharp knife and do a big clean cut. It doesn't need to be a crazy knife like this one. Here's another flower we're going to cut off first. You see, they are nice flowers. They're not super beautiful, or they're kind of interesting. Bracts coming up underneath is probably more interesting than the flower. Now, let's see. Can I zoom in like this? No. You can see these sections here, like I was talking about earlier. I'm going to cut downward, just like I was chopping up a carrot or something. It's pretty tough. And I'll show you what you want to see is one of these growth nodes and these adventitious roots, and at least one segment line. You could do two. Sort of lighting is a bit off here. Let's see what we can do. Yeah, those growth nodes. You want at least one of these. It might push out one if you don't see one, but it's better to have one. And lots of these adventitious roots. So that's one. And to keep that clean, I just usually use a plastic tray, but you could put in a paper towel or just clean your table better than I did. Now, let's flip this around. It's a little bit limited for space here, and I've been very busy. Perfect. So, again, too bad I can't get this a little bit closer. Again, we're going to give this a nice chop, and we're going to see that it's pretty much the same each time. There's a growth node right here. It's hidden underneath this kind of old, barky looking stuff. You can peel that right off, and that's going to expose these nodes underneath, and that's what you want to do. You're just going to get faster and more even rooting throughout your cuttings. So you can just see that now that that's been exposed. There's another one right here. This is what it looks like before it's exposed. Why can't I get that camera angle right? And even if you just scratch it with a knife a little bit or with your pruners, it'll usually just come right off. Sometimes you'll have to get in there, peel it a little bit. Perfect. Okay, where's the one that I dropped? This one was already starting to grow into some roots or maybe a shoot. You can kind of trick them. So if you don't have a growth node like this one, you can plant it anyway. If you're trying to keep your sections all the same size, it may still produce one. Now, let's get these chopped up. I'll turn this to show this a little bit better. Okay. Not that I'm chopping that good with my cast right now. That's what we're going to say happened with the one that dropped, is because I have a cast. But however you want to cut them, they're not woody in any way, so they're not extremely hard to cut, but you do want a good, sharp, heavy-duty knife all the same. I can see there's a growth node right there, and I don't, oh, I got one here, so I'll actually take that there. So one growth node is enough because it might produce some anyways, and you can see there's one was at the base of this leaf. But that's kind of how it grows. It puts through the leaf and then it'll put out some shoots. So again, I'm going to want to take this leaf off just like those sheaths that we were removing. I'll show you now. There was a node inside of that leaf. So I'll do one more here a bit closer just to show. That's the leaf. And you get kind of something like that. Looks like celery. And then when I get inside and split that leaf right off, because this will just rot, the old dead leaf, and it'll be mucky and gross. And you can see here a new node for the growth of leaves and shoots. And basically this whole stem is like this, so there's at least another 5 or 6 plants here. I'll just strip all these leaves off. Kind of sucks because at the very top here, I'm just seeing now there was a bunch of new growth shooting off. Like there's another one here in the middle. But it had 2 big flower stalks and it was just too tall, like I said. And I like propagating these. They're tough plants. They're tough in the cold. If your house gets cold during the winter, this is a plant that can survive it. If you just keep it up off the floor, it'll do well. It doesn't need a lot of light compared to other tropical house plants that are so-called low light plants. These guys truly can handle less light, and you can see even as it got used to that light, it still burns with a lot of direct light. But anywhere else in this room, it's fine. I just wanted to push the growth on it. Now, but I knew it was susceptible too. That's kind of cool. Cleaned up. You can see all the little shoots there. And how many plants do we have? 1, 2, probably 3, 4, 4 or 5 for sure. More. So let's take a look here. I like to really clean these leaves off because, like I said, they're slimy. Later, when they get really wet, they are slimy. You can wear gloves. My hand is tingling a little bit. Some people have sensitivities to some of these plants, especially you can smell as soon as you start cutting this plant how strong the alkaloids are in it. So people with sensitive skin, be warned. generally it's a good idea to wear gardening gloves anyways, but when I'm indoors with houseplants, I just wash my hands often. Now, with my own plants, mind you. You can also do cuttings and leave some leaves. I wouldn't leave all these leaves. I'd cut the tip, like I was saying earlier, so that's still the growing tip you're cutting. That's gone in compost. And then this leaf, to reduce transpiration or water loss, basically the plant sweating, we're going to cut that. You can use scissors, pair of pruners to clean up your cut a little bit. I could lay this down the table and do a nice clean cut like that as well. And this one I actually just broke it off completely fine. We're still going to plant that. That has another node right there. And not as many root nodes here. We're going to use root hormone anyway on these. Probably don't need it, but you're going to get less even rooting if you don't use it. So it's what I learned in school, and I've always done it, and I always have good success if I don't do something else silly. These I'm going to put aside for now because I don't see too much going on. Like, definitely got one out here, but alright. So, that's kind of what we're looking at. And we're going to move on to the next part. I use number 2. You can kind of see that number 2 there. Root hormone, it's 0.4%, 0.4. You want stronger than the number 1. I think that's just like 0.1%. I'm not sure. Let me see here. 0.04. And then you can get, 1.2, or the number 3 root hormone gets quite a bit higher. And this is just an auxin. It's a synthetic auxin, IBA. Does it say what that stands for? No. Maybe it does. IBA, indole 3 butyric acid. And basically, like, this is synthetic root hormone that would occur naturally in the plants to produce roots. When you remove the tip of the cutting or the plant, like I was saying, that also naturally creates and kind of tricks the plant into producing these hormones. So we're going to use some of this now. Best thing for this is you want to have a separate dish or something to lay your root hormone on, because once it touches plant material, it can't really go back in the bucket with the rest. It's not going to work as well anymore. Apparently it activates with the chemical and then it becomes inert. It's just a powder. So I have a propagator already set up here. It is a little bit in need of being changed out. How do I get my camera better here? So it's a little bit dark. The perlite, I've used this way too many times. So there's some algae going on here. But basically it's just perlite and pro mixed with a high amount of perlite. There we go. That's not too bad. So I'm going to actually flip the camera. This is the propagator we're going to be using. And it is just perlite 3:1 with pro mix. And down so far, I hit a heat mat that I have a... actually underneath I have some landscape fabric. You can see the layers here, and then it's just pure perlite underneath for drainage. And then this is a probe that goes up to this heat monitor. Camera makes it look like that, catches the light weird in frames. 68.7 Fahrenheit, which is about 20 degrees roughly Celsius. And yeah, this one doesn't show humidity. That's fine. Okay, you just want that nice and level. It's nice and humid in there. I had the top on it over here. And yeah, you can make a propagator out of just this. You don't even need the layer that I could put in there and a garbage bag. I've done some really low-tech stuff. You don't need to be too fancy with that. You don't even need that thermostat, really. if you can just keep an eye on the temperature, that the level of the propagator that the plants are sitting on. So I'll show you, just give it a dip on either side. And so if I dig all the way down, it's about 4 inches. It's probably less now because I've been rooting stuff in this for a while. It's due for some change out of the substrate, soilless media. But I won't dig all the way down to the heat mat. I want to go just a little bit above it. And that's where I'll put the probe now too. So here's the probe. Bury all that in. Just needs to be loosely buried. That one's done. So I like to prepare a bunch of them with the powder first. And then just go over and stick them all in, because I try to be somewhat efficient with my time in here, because you can spend a lot of time at this stuff. Okay, and you know, it's nice to be a little bit less messy than this, but this is a hobby for me right now, slowly turning into a business, hopefully, but right now it is technically just a hobby, even though it's a bit crazy. We have an outdoor farm as well, and a bit of backyard growing. There's a lot of plants going on around here. Alright. Let's dig a couple of holes, kind of like a trench, almost like you do in vegetable gardening. And put these all in here. And you're going to go sideways with them, because they're going to come out with their nodes and grow vertical then. Now it looks like we can fit quite a few in. This one that has a node already growing, I'll angle upwards. So just put that loose soil back, pat that down. If it's loose enough, you can kind of stick them in like that. That one was a bit sharp, but I will dig the trench here for this. It's a bit dry down there, believe it or not. So sometimes, because there's heat, you'll get a bit of a hard dry layer at the bottom, and you have to break that up because the water won't move easily through it, and you won't get even watering throughout when you're doing your work here. So you can see that growth node I was talking about there. That sheath is not too bad, that little bit right around it, but you should still probably get rid of that. And that's to keep it from growing in dry conditions, right? It takes a fair bit of wet conditions to let that rot and peel off, and then it'll start to grow. But in harsher conditions, it sits there to protect the plant basically before it grows, because that's a way for diseases or bugs to get in. Now, back to business. We just close it up. So we don't lose any humidity. Got some succulents growing next to it. I have to watch out for just then. Now, let's see here. I got this nice water wand. I'm just going to do a light watering. After this initial watering, if the substrate doesn't really feel dry, I will come back and use the spray. Just the mist sometimes. Looks like I left a weird lump of soil over here. There. And you want to do a good heavy even watering, because I have that drain layer anyway in this, and I don't want to come back here all the time and do this. Now, you don't want to do too much and wash away all that root hormone either. Now, that's how that's done. Let's just put it back. Succulent light is there, and we'll just keep an eye on this temperatures now. And in about 2 weeks, there should be some roots forming on that, especially with the heat and stuff like that. If I just planted them in a pot and left them up here on a shelf, probably 3 or 4 weeks you'd see roots. So sometimes I'll do that. I use this guy over here for cuttings and hardening off cuttings sometimes. Oh, the leaf has to be picked off of that. I don't want to wreck the cutting. So you can see there's a bunch of different stuff going on in here. Mostly rubber plants and ZZ plant. There might be a piece of a ZZ plant. But yeah, this guy has kind of been through the ringer. One zipper's broken, but I still use it because it keeps the humidity in the leaves, where I don't have to be constantly spraying at them with water. And yeah, that's it. That is this video over here. Just before we go, I'll show the Diffenbachia. Now there's going to be all kinds of room for this new growth to come up and see the light of day. This is an old burned leaf. These leaves you can kind of pull off just like banana leaves. And this is the slime I was talking about that it turns into if you don't deal with it. That's an old flower that died. This leaf should probably go too. And the plant looks a lot better when it's all cleaned up. That was a growth node underneath that slime that I was talking about. It's not good for the plants. So naturally, wind and stuff would blow that away. Certain things would hit it and break it off, and then. But here, there's not a lot of movement with the fans that I have set up that would achieve that sort of thing. And it's looking a lot better now. Spin it a little bit. My God, that's a big plant. Yeah.